Yeah, I'm
All right.
excited for what hard-hitting questions you got for me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started. So, I guess the
Cool.
Armon, first off, thank you for making the time. I know you're super busy as the CEO and founder of Coalesce. But as I discussed, like what I'm doing is meeting with some people, and I want to find out a little bit more about your backstory, especially around the decision. I've looked into your past a little bit. Cool to see that you were a lacrosse coach, and so
Yep.
that's super cool. And then just yeah, it looks like you've always kind of had an entrepreneur kind of mindset. And so, is it fair to say like Coalesce isn't the first company that you've founded?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I agree for sure. Throughout my life, childhood, teenage years, college, everything, I've always had certain side hustles, if you wanted to call it, and was always very interested in entrepreneurship in general. And Coalesce isn't the first company that I've started, but it is the most notable, and it is also my first software company.
Okay.
So, so I've had different ventures, particularly in real estate. I was one of the founding team members for a company called Warescape, at least for their USA operations back in the day as well. I wasn't one of the founders, but one of the earliest employees. And
Yeah.
so, at least as far as unlocking and launching in North America goes. And so, a lot of different exposure and experiences with going from 0 to 1 or building something from nothing, and have always enjoyed that. So
Yeah.
it's been a fun ride in general, and Coalesce is the most notable aspect of
Yeah.
my entrepreneurial journey for sure.
Well, and I guess, yeah, kind of speaking about Coalesce and then kind of how it started, and that's kind of how you and I got connected. But what made you decide when everything was happening with how Coalesce got formed?
Yeah.
How did you decide to go, I'm definitely building a software company and jump all in and make it happen? What was kind of that tipping point for you to be like, I'm ready, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, well, it was something that me and the core team at a previous company had always fantasized about, was to be
Okay.
able to start from scratch and build a cloud native solution in the space that we had a ton of expertise in. And I know we have a little bit of shared history when it comes to acquisitions. Not that we were at the same company, but
Yep.
similar acquirer. So it was pretty clear when my previous company was acquired that the product wasn't headed in the direction that me and some of the core team members felt it could go,
Yeah.
and that there was a ton of potential. And personally, I fell in love with the problem area and
Mm.
the data engineering space, the customers I worked with, the partners I worked with, a ton of relationships. And, I was on the front lines for many years and eventually was a sales leader for North
Yep.
America. And I wrote a ton of checks to people figuratively where I had made promises that I personally would do everything I could to
Yep.
fulfill the future of a technology. And when I saw that that wasn't going to happen at a previous business, that was really the genesis for me to branch off and start what became Coalesce. And
Okay.
I had a ton of conviction around it. I knew I had the potential to put together a really incredible team to pursue that space. And we knew exactly what we needed to build from a product standpoint. So I really had no excuses, is how I
Okay.
felt.
Yeah.
And I was in a position where I had built a real estate business that was providing me some healthy passive income. And so it wasn't a question as to being able to put food on the table or anything like
Yeah.
that. And, I guess I still am a single man, no kids, no wife. And so I felt like, yeah, I really didn't have any
Anything
excuse,
stopping you?
nothing to stop me. And it's still, despite that, Lee, it was really scary. It was a really
Oh
scary
God,
decision to
yeah.
make. Yeah, it's
We'll
still
get to
really,
that. We'll get to that in a second. Let me let
yeah, it
me
was
just
very nerve wracking.
let me pull a thread because I think you just said something really really cool that I've been hearing from a few people that I've been talking to, and that's you're passionately falling in love with the problem, and that
Yeah.
you did actually really truly understand the needs of the customers, and you've made some commitments, but that falling in love with the problem instead of just thinking about the solutions, how much has that played a part in you building the team around you?
Yeah. So I think the best thing I can share on my perspective going into this starting Coalesce was I sat down and really asked myself, based on my skill set, based on my experience, what is the thing that I could do that would have the largest impact on the biggest volume of people?
Yeah.
And positive impact, obviously. And it was to be able to solve the problem that I knew so intimately for a large amount of organizations at scale. And there was a ton of other paths I could have taken, some that probably would have paid more and been less risky, certainly for the first few years.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I felt like if I really wanted to pursue something that was going to be as fulfilling as possible, that it would be to truly, truly solve a problem that I knew so many people were suffering from. And that was what helped me get across the line and pursue what I did. So I think it was of course the focus on the issue that people deal with. And secondly, it was what I truly felt I could have the biggest impact on when it comes to, I say society, but it's more, this group of people that happens to be a fairly large
Yeah.
group of people in the analytics space.
Yes, very much so. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so then on the personal front, like
Yeah.
you're the CEO and founder. So you
Yeah.
are, having to, I'm sure, make a shift into this new role. What are some of the things that you've personally had to kind of shift and change and realign and how you present
Yeah.
yourself, you as the leader of,
Yeah.
a pretty sizable company now? I mean, you're in this just over 4 years now?
Yeah, we're almost coming up on 5 years at the end
Oh,
of this
five.
month.
Sorry.
But 3 months or sorry, just over 3 years in the market. So we were in
Okay.
stealth for about a year and some change. And so as far as anybody else from the outside looking in is concerned, like we basically
Yeah.
launched in 2022. So,
Okay.
but it's been a few years. And yeah, I mean, the list for items on your question around ways that I've had to evolve, we could be here all day to
All
talk
day.
about.
Yeah.
But I would say that there has been a ton of learnings throughout
Yeah.
this process. Everything from when we were first starting the company, I was 27 years old, maybe 26. So I was pretty young.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of imposter syndrome. So,
Mm.
I even was talking to my co-founder, like, are you sure you want me to be the CEO? Like, you
Yeah.
do realize, like, I'm in my 20s, like, I've never done this before, but he
Yeah.
had a lot of confidence in me and was super reassuring, which helped. And so going through the process of taking on that responsibility, taking on that role was scary as well. And
Yeah.
you of course, I think any person who's not a clear sociopath would have a healthy amount of imposter syndrome
Yeah.
in the situation that I was in. And as you go through certain steps and areas and you hopefully make the right decisions, I think you build confidence in the
Mhm.
role. And I would say that was one of the first things I had to overcome. And as we continue down the path, like my skill set and my role in the company has evolved dramatically. And,
Okay.
when you're 0 to 10 employees, you're in a very different position than when we're at the scale that we're at now with almost 150 people globally.
Yes.
And I would say throughout that process, I've always felt I can be genuinely who I am at work. Like
Mm.
I really take a lot of pride in intertwining my personal life and my business. And so
Yeah.
who people see, like what as Armon is who I am in my personal life too.
Yeah.
And I try not to decouple that. I try to integrate as much as
Yeah.
possible. Like I want things to coexist between my personal life and my business life seamlessly,
Yeah.
not have separation of
Yeah.
that. And so it's very common for me to work with close friends, people that I grew up with, people that I'm a groomsman for their wedding or the best
Yeah.
man, fill in the blank type of relationships. But that being said, as we've grown, I definitely have seen that the role has evolved in many different ways.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you that because I know that when it took about 6 or 7 months, I kind of when I was in my role as CEO, and it took me some time to realize that I couldn't be kind of the person I'd always been, which was very
yeah,
much operations focused, very much give it to me, I'll go do it. I had
yeah,
to actually step back and realize that I needed to be I need to be thinking about 6 to 12 months out in the business, not what's happening today, and really trust the people around me. Was there a point where you're like, man, at 40 people, I'm like, I just can't have my fingers in everything. I need to
Yeah.
have some people to lean on.
So I've always, fortunately, I would say maybe not always, but very early in my leadership career, learned to trust others and feel very comfortable as long as I made the right hires with the right
Yeah.
people, that I can trust them to do their jobs better than me trying to be actively involved. So
Yes.
I'm really fortunate to have that skill. I think I talk to a lot of founders, and that's a difficult thing for them, is to let go of the wheel and allow somebody else to drive.
Yeah.
And I do think that the reason why I'm able to do that is because I've got an incredible team around me. And
Yeah.
I feel like my job, my responsibility, at least one of my core responsibilities, is to recruit the absolute best people. And I feel fortunate that I've been able to have the type of talent that I do around me to help offset any of that stress or fear of letting somebody else run a certain area of the business.
Yeah.
But fortunately, that hasn't been a difficult one for me. I think what was more eye-opening was in the early stages of the company, people are all typically on the same page, moving in the same direction
Yeah.
at the same time. And
Yeah.
around the point between 50 to 100 employees, I started to see that cross-functional efforts were starting to get a little bit sloppy. And this is a really common breaking point for businesses, and
Yeah.
became something that I had to pay a lot of attention to, because I was too presumptive that what was in my head, everybody knew.
Everybody knew. Yep.
Yeah. And that was something that I think was a growth point for me, understanding the importance of providing clarity for the business and
Yeah.
doing it constantly. So
Yeah.
it's really difficult to say something once and expect everybody, all
Hey,
140 employees, to recognize that, hear it, follow
yep.
through on it. It becomes something where you do have to beat the drum
Awesome.
consistently, and communications are really critical. And
Yeah.
so that is a big part of my responsibilities now, is like
Yep.
setting the vision, consistently sharing the vision, and reminding people what we're all focused on, or at least what we should all be focused on. And it's not something that you can do once and disregard. Like it's a constant recurring theme of
Yeah.
finding different ways to keep people informed. So
Yeah.
I'll do all hands monthly. In the past, I've done weekly company videos that are 5 to 10 minutes, just me
Yep.
talking about updates for the week, where we're headed, certain things that were highlights, recognizing people for demonstrating the company's core values culturally, amongst other things.
Yeah.
And so it's all of the above, and depending on what is most effective, you lean into that. And
Yep.
at no point is it clear which one is going to be most effective. I think, for a moment in time, doing a weekly video was a really good way to keep everybody informed. But after a certain
Yeah.
point, that can become less frequently watched or viewed, which then you've got to switch it up to try to keep
Pivot
people
around. Yeah.
engaged. Yeah, which is, it's
That-
okay. I can accept that. I
yeah.
understand we're all humans, and there's different ways that people like to consume information. And so being able to consistently provide that information in a way
Yeah.
that's thoughtful and engaging internally
Yeah.
is more and more important as we grow
Yeah.
into
No,
different
I think,
scales.
well, I mean, one, kudos to you, because, one of my favorite books is CEO Excellence. And
Yeah.
they go through and review the top 100 CEOs for the last 10 years. And the three things that come out of that, which are key for what they say a great CEO should be focused on, is your culture, your
Yeah.
organizational design, and your people development. And the culture piece, as always, I mean, it wasn't until I became a CEO and we had 80
Yeah.
people in the company and globally that I really, really had to focus on that why, the purpose. And you're right.
Yep.
You have to be saying it over and over and over to remind people why they're coming in every day. So,
Yeah.
that's awesome, man. Awesome to do that. That was actually my question, is how do you keep kind of people motivated and on the same page? But that was a great answer. But how do you stay motivated? What makes sure that you
Yeah.
driving every day and feeling balanced and bringing your best you?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that first off, I I'm super grateful for my life, and I'm really grateful for the people in it, my friends, family, the opportunities and experiences that I get to enjoy are unique, and I really do aim to practice gratitude all the
Mm.
time and in every type of situation that I can. And I would say, as far as motivation is concerned, I've had, and this it might sound dark, it's not intended to be, but I've had a lot of people that are close to me pass away in freak accidents or through cancer or fill in the blank type of
Yeah.
sad, traumatic incidents. And that's happened to people around me since I was in a young age, maybe as early as high school and college. And
Yeah.
whether it was close friends, family members, you name it, I I think there was a point in my younger years, in my early 20s, where I realized that you're not promised life for
Yeah.
a long age. Like you can die at any day. And the more that that happens to me, to people close to me, the more I realize that life is really short
Mm.
and you never know when you're going to go. And so you better fucking enjoy it. And you better have a good
Yeah.
purpose and take advantage of all the opportunities at your fingertips. And I feel fortunate to have a skill set that I do, to have the friends and people close to me, as well as the opportunities available. And I just don't want to waste a day not pursuing what my full potential is.
Yeah.
And I want to live a life worth living, whether that's career side for sure. Like that's a big driver as to why I decided to start this company, but even on the personal side too. Like I love pushing myself to limits physically. I love being able to have really unique experiences, whether that is traveling, going to different concerts and shows, music
Yeah.
festivals, having really genuine relationships and friendships that I cherish, amongst other things. And
Yeah.
so I really want to have a lifestyle that embraces all of those areas. So
Yeah.
that way, if I were to get hit by a car tomorrow, God forbid, I
Yep.
would say, you know
No
what,
regrets.
yeah, I'm super proud of the life I
Yeah.
lived. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to
That's
live
awesome.
on a, yeah, I don't want to live like a delayed lifestyle where, I'm working towards some retirement
Yeah.
or some end goal without appreciating, enjoying every step of the journey. I just think
Yeah.
life is life is too short for
Too
that.
precious.
And yeah, I want to enjoy every day. Like
Yeah.
people talk to me often about like my enthusiasm, my optimism, some of these other areas. And yeah, that is truly who I am. Like I do
Yeah.
want to enjoy my life every day. And like I don't think that it needs to be your birthday or your
Yeah.
anniversary or whatever it might be to live life to the fullest. I want to do that on a
Yeah.
consistent basis and enjoy my life.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. And yeah, yeah, I
Mhm.
love the time we get to spend together and talking because it's always a nice energy boost for me, just your effectiveness and how you look at life. And, I like
Yeah,
to mirror the same thing. So just short
that's
on time
awesome.
here, but I want to ask you one last question. You're sitting down
Sure.
with a young founder who wants to
Yeah,
start a company for the first time. What are some
yeah.
things that you would recommend they do before they make the leap or as they're making the leap?
Yeah. So, there's a really great quote by Vinod Khosla that I love. He was the founder of Sun Microsystems. He's now the founder of Khosla Ventures. They've had a lot of great investments in the venture capital space. But his statement is something along the lines of the most important skill an entrepreneur has is understanding whose advice to take and on what.
Mm.
And I found that really interesting, especially at an early stage, because as I was starting the company, there were so many people who wanted to provide advice to me, and certain people that were really experienced, really successful in certain areas had advice that was really, it was really attractive to listen to, but at times was incorrect. And it's hard to know who to listen to and on what area. And that gut intuition is something you really need to harness as a
Yeah.
founder. to recognize that you're going to get information from all different areas. You're going to get advice from all different areas. By the end of the day, you need to have the confidence to make the call and make the right call when it comes to critical decisions, especially at an early stage. And so listening to that inner voice, listening to that, it's going to be to that instinct is something that you get better and better at as long as you follow through on it. And it's something that I'm still learning on as well. Like there's been certain times where I knew I should have done something and should have handled a situation, but based on the influences around me, maybe gave in a little bit, and that ended up being a mistake and was something that I realized like, oh, this was another great example of how I need to listen to my gut and listen to my instinct. But that's a skill that you gain. Other than that, I would say every founder's got different strengths and weaknesses, and they should as quickly as possible, figure out what they are and defer the weaknesses to people who are better than them at, and then focus on your strengths. And that is going to be dependent on who you are. And you really need to be honest with yourself to determine that.
You can't do it all, and you gotta have a great team. And so, well, Armon, look, this has been so much fun. Thank you for making the time. And it's been so fun for me to watch you the last few years just building Coalesce. I know we've got to work together, but it's been really fun to see that and see your team in action and what you've built. So really appreciate it. So where can people track you down if they want to engage with you?
Super easy. Well, first off, it's been a pleasure being on here with you, Lee. I always love our conversations as well. You're an energizing personality. And as far as Coalesce is concerned, or myself, people can find me on LinkedIn, send me a connection request with a note. You can also go to our website, coalesce.io. If you're in the data engineering space, you're crazy not to at least give our product a shot and try it.
Right. It is the best product.
There's a ton of information there. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. So you can either go to our website or find me on LinkedIn or both.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Armon. I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Sweet. Thanks, Lee.